Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Lab. I'm Jesus Velasquez.
I'm Jordan Zacharias.
And welcome back to another edition of our Halloween Nights.
Yeah.
And today we are going to review Halloween 3,
Yes.
Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch.
This
Starring Tom the Man Atkins.
Tom Atkins. So this one is, it's hard to say a sequel to Part 2 because it's technically not a sequel. I wonder if they probably should have just called it Halloween Season of the Witch, but then that would have confused people as well.
Well, so here's what's weird about it is we were looking up about this one in Part 2, and if you haven't watched our Part 2 review, go watch that too. But or go listen to it. But it's also one of those things where so this one came out, the last one, so Halloween Part 2 came out in 81. This one came out in 82. So like you pointed out in the last review, they were getting away from the Michael Myers thing to do an anthology and tell different stories with all the following Halloween movies. But obviously, people were like, "Where's Michael Myers?" We thought it was going to be a series about this guy, and they were going to do it one a year. So it's crazy. So this one came out a year after Part 2.
Yeah, and so the story behind this one, it's kind of weird because, I mean, it is a ballsy like move to make this story. Jordan, when we were watching it, you made the perfect, I guess, analogy
Oh, I remember.
of what this movie is. You're like, this is like an adult version of a Goosebumps story. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that is exactly what this is. Now, I'll be honest. When I watched this as a kid, the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, where is Michael Myers? So obviously, right there and then, there's a biased view of like, I hate this movie. Probably watched it again in college and still wasn't a fan. But it wasn't until maybe like the last 10 years, maybe 15. I mean, 10 years, because 15, I was in college. But 10 years ago, where we kind of had a little more appreciation, because I think we got through the idea of like, okay, this isn't a Michael Myers movie. This is its own movie.
I think we watched this one in the jungle years and years ago.
I think when we watched it in the jungle is when we finally got a little more appreciation to it.
Yeah.
Because it was just kind of like, okay, let's watch this as its own movie.
Right.
And so once you watch it as its own movie, then you're like, okay, like, this is actually not a bad movie. It's not a great movie still, but it's not a bad movie.
So I would say what's funny is, I don't know if you felt this way, but I kind of fell in love with it the first time I saw it. I don't know why, but it had this charm to it, and I think that's what I explained with that Goosebumps story, is that it feels like a kind of goofy, weird, not really an intensely scary story idea. It's more of a, you don't know what's going on, and it's just kind of like eerie and spooky.
Yeah.
And you know, like the beginning starts out great, of a guy just running down the street, and you don't know what's going on, and the John Carpenter synth comes in, and you're like, oh, Myers is after this guy. Was the first thought I had, and you know, if you didn't know what was going on. But it's a weird little story, and it's put together in a weird way. You can tell that it was, I don't know, for some reason I feel like this movie was made with a lot of love and care. Like they were really having fun making this movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe they just rushed it out. But still,
what do you think? Aliens? Sure, aliens.
Yeah, sure. These masks, creepy masks. But it has the dude from RoboCop who I love.
Yeah.
Is it Dan O'Hurley or something? I don't remember his name.
It's something like that.
So it's that dude with the white hair. Good shooting, son. What's your name?
Yeah.
And then it has Tom Atkins from, of course, The Fog and one of our favorites, Night of the Creeps. And of course, Lethal Weapon. That's a big business, Roger.
Big business.
Not anymore, stop. I'm gonna burn it down.
Oh, I never even picked it up when we were watching it. No, I got it. But when we were watching it like a week or two ago, you guys kept quoting, "This is a big business," and
I quote that all the time. No one
I
ever
never even caught it when you were saying it. Though. I was like, "Why do you keep saying this?"
I quote Tom Hunsaker, as his name is his character in the movie. I quote Tom Hunsaker all the time, and no one ever gets it.
But you were saying it throughout. You were saying it throughout Halloween 3. I'm like, "Why do you keep saying this?" And I'm like, oh, "Okay, now it makes sense."
I'm sorry. I love Tom Atkins. I repeat myself. But anyway, yeah. So it's a goofy little story. It's really fun. It's not a super gory or bloody movie, really. Yeah. There's a couple parts that are disturbing, kind of like a John Carpenter movie, like The Fog or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think he directed this one, but it has that feel and that vibe of his, where I think he produced it, right? But it has he did the soundtrack as well. But I don't know. My overall thoughts on it, and I want to get your take on it. My overall thoughts is that for something they just rushed out as an anthology idea, and this was the part 1 of their anthology, I would have loved to see them keep going with it, to see what they would have done, because it's really not a bad first entry. Yeah. And I think, like I said, it was made with care, even though it was probably kind of rushed. It's a weird story, but it has a lot of charm to it, is what I would say. But it's a goofy movie. Like you said, it's a weird, out there kind of goofy movie. But for some reason, I love the vibe. What do you think?
So It was produced by Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who did Halloween. Carpenter did the music on this one, obviously. So they were involved. This here's the thing. So when you watched it, were you like, how old were you? Were you a kid? Were you a teenager? Were you
No,
in
I think
college?
the first time I'd watched it all the way through was with you in the jungle. That's
Okay,
what I'm
so
saying.
you were.
So I only saw it for the first time maybe 12 years ago.
Okay, so you didn't have like the investment in like Michael Myers that I did. So
No,
like
I'd only seen the first movie growing up.
okay, so
Yeah.
as like a kid, I had seen like Halloween 1, Part 2, 4, 5, all of them, and then
Of course you had.
yeah, of course. So then I remember being like, I think it was like in middle school, so it was like 11 or 12.
Okay.
And I remember because I'd seen Part 1 and 2, and then 4 and 5, and I was thinking, I was like, wait a second, like, what is Halloween 3?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wait, and then I started thinking like, wait, do we always skip over this? And then I was like, I don't remember Halloween 3. I was like, what happens in Halloween 3? And so then I remember one Saturday, and whenever there was like a horror movie, when it wasn't Halloween or any like scary movie was on during the daytime on a boring, lazy Saturday, it was like a treat.
Right.
So I remember Halloween 3 was on, and I'm like, oh. And I watched it, and I just was like, the hell is this? And then I was like, where's Michael Myers? And then
what are these masks? What's
yeah,
the Shamrock
and so then
Company?
the story just lost me, and I was just like, but I think when you first saw it, and then I saw it, that's when I had a new appreciation for it, because I'm like, I knew it was a different movie. I knew it was not connected to the Myers story arc or canon or whatever.
Right.
So I just had this idea that I'm gonna watch it as its own movie, and then I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's weird because, like I said, it's, spoiler warning in a sense, because I don't even know if it is a spoiler warning, because I still don't understand it. But it's like, oh, okay, so they're robots, or are
involves
they
androids and masks that, which I thought at first were brainwashing people, but then it turns out it's just murdering children.
But then it's like, are they? What were they? No, they weren't robots. They were aliens. But then they weren't aliens. They were sacrificing. And then it's like, what? Because the whole point of the masks was, and I've had to watch this one multiple times.
I still don't think I fully understand it. Please explain
the
it to
point
me.
of the mask, because I was listening to this because we just watched it, it's pretty fresh, was that the masks were the kids, and they're trying to give away all the masks and everything, because the kids are going to get a prize if they were wearing the mask at the,
and they were watching the channel at like at midnight on Halloween.
Yeah, so it was just bum, 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 and they were going to win a contest, so that's why the kids all had the mask. But the whole point was that if they're wearing the mask, the kids die, or what happens, or they get like sucked up, or
It's like their head gets crushed and they turn into bugs. It was
weird.
weird.
It was weird. But the thing is, like, it was supposed.
And yes, the movie is that weird. So just be prepared for that. There are parts where you're like, what?
Yeah. So the guy explained it. The RoboCop guy explained it, that it was like a sacrifice to, like, the gods or something, and it just, I'm like, what? So then I'm like, wait, then who are these people? Like, the robots, or they're aliens, or they're a cult? But it doesn't really add up, because then,
well, and I won't say who, but someone at the end gets like zapped, and then they just like evaporate
Yeah.
into like a spirit or something, and you're like, wait, what?
yeah. So then
It's
I think
strange.
at first I thought they were aliens, and they got like lifted back into space, and then I'm like, so it is weird, and it is a little complicated at times.
Yeah.
But it's still a fun movie, because it does have some really cool practical effects, with the mask and some of the deaths.
There's a lady in a hotel room.
Oh,
and her
yeah,
face
that
gets,
is
like,
brutal.
I won't spoil it, but she gets like
Oh, yeah.
split open a little bit in a weird way, and she's messed up.
And the Tom Atkins charm in this one, this last go around, I didn't even realize it, but oh man, what a ladies' man. And it was just just the fact when he was with that girl.
Well, she's supposed to be like 20.
Well, that's what
and he's like 50.
I'm like, is she the love interest? Because she looks way younger than him.
And I'm like,
And then even in the scene, he's like, how old are you? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So then, okay, and I have to bring this up because I brought it up while we were watching it. The girl that's with him, and this is a spoiler in a sense, she's like the protagonist with him throughout the whole movie. It's like his love interest, sidekick, whatever. They're trying to solve this mystery or whatnot. But then at the end, she's like a robot. So remember, I'm like, was she a robot the whole time, or did she become a robot at the end?
I mean, Turtle Affairs was in on it all the
Yeah, so I always got confused on that.
It's a weird one, dude. Like I said, and here's my advice to people: is go watch it if you've never seen it. and go into it thinking that number one, it's a completely separate movie. It's not even in the Halloween universe or franchise or anything, right? Just go into it as going, okay, this is a weird off the wall 80s horror movie. Just think of that. Like you said, kind of an adult goosebump story, kind of one off where it's like, ooh, something spooky, you know, but nothing really that terrifying happens. There's a weird plot twist at the end, like you said, where he's kind of explaining stuff, and it's still very confusing. But yeah, it's a quirky movie you should check out. But for me, for some reason, is I love the bookends of it. The intro is creepy, and the ending is creepy, and there's a lot of paranoia, and it's really strange. And anyway, but it's one you should definitely go check out this Halloween if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I mean, with all the, I mean, it almost seemed like I was bashing it. I'm not. I do.
Stop it!
Yeah,
Stop it!
There is a lot of Halloween lore to this movie that I do love, and I do have an appreciation for it now. It's not high on my Halloween list, but it's definitely one that I do, you know, I like to fill in my Halloween calendar with a lot of movies, and Halloween 3 definitely is there on it.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorite movies, but it's definitely a movie that I do want to show some love. And it is getting a good cult following, and Tom Atkins is awesome in it.
Yeah, he really is.
There is a lot of awesome Halloween lore, like the beginning, the end, even like the montage where they're showing all the kids buying the masks and going trick-or-treating.
Totally, all the Shamrock masks and trick-or-treating.
And what I love about those shots is like the twilight and the dusk going from like
all the kids walking down the street.
Like it's like daytime and it's like night. I love that scene.
It's got great ambiance.
Yes. And so the story is a little complicated a little bit, but overall it is a fun movie that has worked its ranks up my my Halloween movie list.
It really does grow on you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I think with every watch, you're just like, what? Oh, okay. I guess I get that. So
I would put this in the file of I don't watch it every Halloween, but I'm always happy when I am watching.
Yes, absolutely. So this season of the witch, check out Halloween 3. It's out there, so there's some people that are either gonna love it or you're not gonna love it, but definitely give it a chance.
That's cool. You're stupid.
Yeah, give it a chance in the sense that it's its own movie. Don't watch it in the sense of it's a Halloween canon movie. It's just its own movie with the Halloween 3 title. With that being said,
there's no canon in it.
Yeah, no canon. It's there's no Loomis, no Myers, no Strode.
Yeah, I miss Loomis, dude.
But we got a lot of Atkins.
Yeah.
So check out Halloween 3 this Halloween. Take care.
Peace.